Attached to detached. We're talking about this topic because it's very important. One, how would you like to get there? Because odds are the destination is going to remain the same, but how would you like to arrive? How would you like to take the journey? Would you like to be attached? What comes with attached? Stressed, anxious, nervous, full of worry, scared, bracing, clenching. Or would you like to get there with peace, love, joy, happiness, flow, ease, feeling free? And that's the thing. And we're going to talk about detaching from the outcome, because it really isn't the end goal that you're trying to reach. It is the emotions on the other side. So we're going to learn how to feel those emotions now versus attaching to the outcome and staying addicted to stress, anxiety, chaos, nervousness, worry, fear. And that's a big piece to it. And the other part is closed fists don't get fed. That's the saying, right? And when you open your fists, you get to receive and allow. And sometimes it is like we want something so bad we latch onto it out of fear and out of stress and even out of like preconditioned worry. And it just ends up bouncing off of our capacity. If you see my other videos, I talk a lot on capacity, what it is that you can fit in your comfort zone and what your deserving level is and that worthiness. We may get into some of that in this video, but if we don't, check out my other videos. So let's first talk about why it is we tend to attach to the outcome. Okay? So, let's see. Attached. Okay. This guy here, what we do is, here's his little inner capacity. And these holes are little voids, okay? And these voids were created by unmet emotional needs. Trauma. Lack of alignment is what I'm going to call it. We'll get into that more. Let's see, what else could this be caused by? Trauma experiences. Okay, so what this person who is attaching is constantly trying to do is they are constantly trying to get their emotional needs met. So they are attaching maybe in relationships, maybe in work, or maybe to money to try to make themselves feel worthy is typically what it is. Worthy, wanted, important. And really, all that makes you feel loved. That is the emotion. So you can see that really that attachment is to get love, is to feel loved. Trauma, same thing. We try to change, similar. We try to change the story. This is usually control. Okay. We're trying to control. And really, that's what this all comes down to, because the only reason that you attach is because you believe you need to be in control to feel safe. See these emotion words we're using a lot? Emotions are extremely important in order to feel safe, in order to feel loved. And you need to feel like you're in control, because control is an illusion. You can never control anything. There is a lot more going on than we could ever even fathom to imagine. We will never have control of a situation, even if we stayed indoors all the time. Nature does a lot of gnarly things. You never know. Okay, so we've got experiences, personal experiences that we've learned some from. So these are like preconditions. What you've learned. Okay, and then lack of alignment. Some people forget that we are made of 3 parts: mind, body, spirit. Now, if all 3 are not online, we're going to fall out of alignment. If we do not have our mind online, we're going to fall out of alignment. If we don't have our body and our connection to our body, we're going to fall out of alignment. If we do not have connection to spirit, Holy Spirit, internal spirit, God, we're going to heavily fall out of alignment. And that's going to come into play heavily when it comes to attachment. So you see that there are these voids that could be showing up in your life, and really all you're doing is attaching to the outcome so you can feel safe. And that's because when we grow up, we are dependent upon somebody else to give us love, to feed us food and give us nurture our body and nurture our bodies, keep us alive, to keep us safe emotionally, to validate us and make us feel wanted or important. And these are all the things that we were supposed to get as a child. And as an adult, if we did not get those as a child, we will attach and attach and attach and attach to certain situations in order to consistently try to get that need met, which is impossible to do because nobody else can meet those needs for us. Well, nobody else here on earth in the fleshly realm here, okay? And as an adult, you'll hear a lot of people say, like, you just need to love yourself, or you need to give yourself all of these emotions, right? Because what we're probably seeking is emotions like love, security. That's why we latch to money. Safety, peace. That's why alcoholism happens, because for the first time in however long, when people drink or do drugs, they're like, oh, I feel a sense of peace I've never felt in my entire life because I can never calm down. I can never calm my mind down, because that's because you're full of emotions like fear. Okay? What happens is these traumas happen in the body, or these emotions get trapped in the body, and then they cause these overthinking thoughts as your mind's way of trying to get your attention to say, hey, we've got wounds in here we have to heal. That part probably just blew your mind because nobody ever talks about that. I don't know why people don't talk about that, but it's common sense. These beliefs or these emotions that are trapped in your body are like, I don't have a language to speak except vibrational. So I'm going to send you overthinking thoughts so you can trace, okay, what's going on inside of here, and we can heal this wound. And a lot of times it's fear, maybe because of lack of safety growing up, or maybe because of lack of power and control because your caregivers were not safe, or you were put in unsafe environments, or even getting in something like a car accident that was traumatic, or going through something that was traumatic can cause these emotions that are stuck in your body. So we'll talk about fear, chaos, anxiety, shame, guilt. Listen, I can't tell you how important emotions are. I swear to you, like, if you can understand the language of emotions, you're going to be able to talk to animals like Eliza Thornberry's. Now, listen, I just made that up, but like, I'm so serious. Like, if you understand the language of emotions, because think about it. When you walk in a room, you can already feel somebody before you even open your mouth. People say like energy introduces you before you even introduce yourself. Because emotions are the vibratory frequencies inside of your body. And those emotions are speaking vibrational languages before you even open your mouth. And then, those emotions end up causing vibrations in the voice You guys are catching my drift, okay? I worked with kids in neurological disabilities. I went to school for communication disorders, so speech pathology and all that. Like, I understand how vibrations move through the body and they speak, and it's through emotions, because emotions are energy in motion. So as you watch these emotions come through your body or come out and seep out of your body, that is a language. It's just a vibrational language. It's a language that is the language of the subconscious, the language of God. That's how you speak to people without speaking. So it is the baseline. It's everything. It's so important. So that's what we need to understand, is what are the emotional needs that need to be met? Or what is it that you need to be filled up with, because you continue to attach to money so you can get security. You continue to attach to relationships in your attempt to get love. You continue to attach to, I don't know, certain situations, or even staying in that 9-to-5 that you absolutely hate just to feel safe financially or whatever it might be. And peace, attaching to alcohol or attaching to drugs just so you can feel that peace for a moment. Okay, I see this often, and it is so big. And if you're going to detach from the outcome, if you're going to detach from all those little things that you keep attaching yourself to that are driving you absolutely nuts, and access a place of freedom, the place that everybody wants, because the only thing we are doing is keeping ourselves confined in our own minds through not healing our trapped emotions. It is us against us. And let me tell you, we're going to get into this because it's the only thing, and I tried everything, it is the only thing that works, and there's a good reason for it, because I tried everything else first. And the only thing that is going to fill your little voids, let's keep that up, is God. Okay? Making God the center of your life. Now, here's the thing, and this could get into beliefs, and I just encourage you to keep an open mind when it comes to what you believe to be possible, and also stay with your own convictions. Like, don't let me talk you into anything. Let it just be knowledge, and let yourself sit with it and see how it feels for you. And if something doesn't feel right, move on. Keep what resonates, leave the rest, is what I'm going to say. Because not everybody is there yet, spiritually, emotionally, when it comes to surrendering fully to God and putting God at the center of your life. But here's the thing. I have practiced manifestation and force techniques. I have tried doing everything myself my entire life. I was raised by a single mom, watching her do everything by herself. I was wired for it. And I also grew up in an unsafe environment, so I was constantly trying to control every single thing around me so that nothing bad would ever happen. But turns out we have absolutely no control, because God has full control, has created the world in which we live, and knows everything that's going on, and there's a way bigger picture, and there's way too much going on to ever control anything. And all I know is that humans feel very good when they find God, when they find this connection with God, when they find this love from Jesus Christ for dying on the cross, when they accept him as their Lord and Savior. I know for me, I have. And like I said, I've tried everything. And I grew up in the church. I had church trauma. I had church hurt, is what they call it. And it was fearful techniques and all this stuff, which is not what God is. And this really isn't a video meant to be about God, but it's a piece of everything, and that you can't avoid it. So, making God the center of your life. Why? Because it's putting faith and trust in what it is that you cannot see. And what happens when you do that is you do detach from the outcome, because you realize you are not in control. You are not in control. No matter how hard you try. I'd like to know if you really succeeded at controlling every single thing in your life and every person around you. I'd like to know about it. You are not in control. God can take away your pain. Jesus can take that away for you. Jesus has taken it away. He has died on the cross for that very reason. God can take your past. I didn't think this was possible until I repented and let go of the past fully and completely and gave it all to God. I gave it up to God, and I don't really think about the past anymore. And I was somebody who was burdened with it, absolutely covered by it. All of my actions were based off of my past wounds and past pain. I moved my attachments from obsessing over my weight and tracking my macros, tracking every single thing, to then obsessing and attaching into my relationship, to then becoming a workaholic. So I just kept on latching and grabbing at all of these things outside of me, causing me excruciating overthinking thoughts and repetitive thought cycles, and also ending up in the same place every single time, because God kept saying, put me first. Put me first. Put me first. Make me the center of my life and I will guide you. God can take away your past pain. He can take away all your guilt from all those things that you did. He can take away all the shame from all the embarrassing times. He can take away all that fear and replace it with his guidance and his will. And that's another thing. You have a purpose. You have a purpose and a will for your life. And I know, because I'm standing here with you on my purpose right now. If I tried to not do this, I'm pretty sure I would collapse. I just can't not. You just know when you found the puzzle piece for God's will in your life. It feels good. We are designed that way. We are spiritually, vibrationally, and atomically designed the way that God had designed us to be. And he has a purpose and a will for our life, and every time we are not taking steps towards that, I don't mean quit your 9 to 5 today to go start up your dream job, but whenever we are not taking steps towards that, we have this ache in our body, because those emotions are trying to give us direction as to, you don't feel good here, but you feel good there. And all I know is that I feel good here. And so that's that language that God is speaking to us. Hey, you feel good here, stay here. But of course, the negative emotions are bad, and we don't want to be there, and they don't feel good, because that's not where we're meant to be. You see that? When you're having anxiety, when you're angry, when you're in that relationship and you have all those emotions, that's not the relationship you're supposed to be in. When you're in that career and you're having all of those emotions, that's not the career you're supposed to be in. You know when something feels right and good. You know, because it gives you those emotions. It doesn't give you these emotions, okay? You have a purpose and a will for your life, and God's saying, put me at the center. Surrender. Surrender the control. Let it all go. Because when you get God in the center of your life, he tells you how to do everything. He literally even tells you what books to go read to gain the wisdom to manage your finances, or to do this or to do that. I swear to you, you ask, he gives it to you every single time. And that's the only reason I'm here right now today, in the position that I am in, growing up the way that I grew up, and having the things that I have, and having the success I have, and the beautiful life that I've been able to come to, is the only reason is because God never let me go, even when I let him go. And it wasn't until I put him at the center of my life that I finally felt at peace. Why do you think AA or places where people are addicted to drugs and alcohol, their first step is God, connect with God? Because there's no other way. And if I had other ways to tell you or other things to teach you, I would, but there's just no other option than to make God the center of your life, and to utilize that emotional communication to communicate with him and understand his nudges and his constant direction through emotions. That is why we talk about emotions so much, is connecting with your emotions so you can feel his guidance. He's literally like, no, go this way. Oh, that makes you anxious. Go this way, right? And so it is going to be like a big like discerning between like fear and that inner voice. But you have to make God the center of your life, and you have to surrender to his will and to his purpose and give him all of your past pain. Let it all go. And if you skip that step, detachment's not going to work. Try it a million times. Million trillion times. I thought about exes for a lifetime. Oh my gosh, it was miserable. I obsessed. I literally thought about money in my dreams. And it's just not good. So your first step is understand the emotions. Wow, emotions. Emotions. You seek. Because God is always trying to bring us closer to him. And what is God? God is love. God is peace. God is security. God is all freedom. Like that is what God is. Fruits of the Spirit, look them up, you'll understand. Okay. So you have to understand what it is you're seeking. Are you seeking love? Are you seeking security? And then what I want you to do is I want you to look for that emotion in your life. Because right now you are living in an extremely lack mindset. And I'm actually running a receiving challenge right now where we are seeking out like what it is that we receive every day, whether it just be a glass of water or a hug from a friend or money from a client, a paying client, whatever it is, but it's starting to focus on those ways that you receive. So I want you to look for that emotion in your life. Okay, in what ways do I experience love? And you may be in a really tough position right now, and it might be hard for you to answer that. But also ask yourself, in what ways are you avoiding allowing yourself to feel love? Because when you can't find it in your everyday life, I guarantee you it's there, because even sitting outside on the grass, I can feel love from Mother Nature. You can feel her just like hold you in the grass, and like there's a reason you're avoiding feeling that, because we know this word, it is outside of your capacity. To feel love is outside of your comfort zone. Okay? Because right now, you could be living in fear, anxiety. And what you're trying to do is get out here to faith, to love, to courage, to acceptance, right? And I'll pull up the map of consciousness here because it's such a great map to understand your emotions. But you need to look for that emotion in your life, and this is where you start to sense the resistance. Resistance to that emotion. Now, I can get stuck here myself. I do not want you to sit here and say like, oh, I'm so mad at myself, I can't feel love, like when we're doing this practice here right now. Because you just added an extra layer of, now you've just added anger, right, to the low vibrating emotions. You just added an extra layer to your journey from attachment to detachment. You just added an extra layer, so you have to watch yourself and you have to pay attention to those addictions to latch on to these low vibrating emotions, because that is your current comfort zone, your capacity. So you really, really have to pay attention here, because these steps, like write these down. And also drop your notes in the comments so I can understand, where you're at, what you're getting from this, because that's really helpful as I make these videos, because it helps me make more videos for you too. So understand the emotion that you seek. Probably one of those. Look for that emotion in your life. Sense the resistance to that emotion. So when you are resisting it, you've got to understand that you're probably addicted to chaos, suffering. I made a video on that recently. Go check that one out. And anxiety. You might even be addicted to feeling shame and sending yourself in a shame loop over and over and over again. Because if you grew up like this, that's your comfort zone. Where you were not taught how to feel that, or that that's even possible. Because it's not the money that we want. It is not the relationship that we want. It is the emotions on the other side that we're constantly latching to. And that's why you see videos that say, like, it's not the person you're obsessing over. It's how they made you feel. Because that is the baseline. It is the emotion that you are latching onto. Okay? Really important stuff to understand. So sense the resistance to that emotion and pray. Pray that resistance is lifted. Okay? And just ask, like, teach me how to feel love, security. Because if you don't know how to feel these emotions, you're always going to keep yourself in limiting patterns that confirm your inner capacity and keep you stuck in your current comfort zone, because that is what your mind is constantly going to try to do. And expanding outside of there is going to be really uncomfortable. Shifting to the higher vibrating emotions is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be weird. You might even think it's boring. I know I did. And it's a merging sensation. It is a new thing. Even for myself, I'll tell you, like, I just adopted a dog. I don't get him until a few days, but I sat on my couch yesterday and I just cried about it, because I know, like, so much more love and expansion is about to come into my life, and it was intimidating. I called my friend, and, like, she grew up differently than I did, so she was like, "What are you talking about, Lauren? Like, it's really not, it's just a dog." She's like, "I hear you, but it's just a dog." I'm like, "It's not, it's a lot more to me than you think." And so everybody's different. Honor that. But to also understand, like, the little silly things, like even getting a dog and having that additional love in my life. And it's just a lot. It's expansive for me. It's heart expanding. So pray. And that's also something I've been praying is teach me how to expand my heart. I've been praying that to God, and what happened? A dog dropped into my life that I could adopt. He's the sweetest thing too. Don't even get me started. So pray that the resistance is lifted, and teach me how to feel love. Teach me how to heal my heart. Teach me how to allow security into my life. Teach me how to allow myself to feel peace without having to take a drug or drink alcohol or do high adrenaline type of things in order to bring, like, a form of, like, a certain sensation to my body, and just allow myself to sit in peace. Okay, because you've got to understand that as a human being, you should be able to access this stuff. And I'm not saying easily, it's going to be a journey, but you should be able to access it. We all have access to these higher states of emotions, to these higher states of vibrations and frequency. And the closer we do climb the emotional ladder, the closer we do get to God. Because again, like, God is love, God is peace, God is enlightenment at the very top there. And you've got to understand that connection is really all you're seeking, because we're wired that way. As human beings, that is how we are wired. So I hope this is helpful so far, because these are tangible steps that you can take, tangible steps I certainly incorporate in my one-on-one coaching and the work that we do. And it's also detachment and sprinkled throughout the money mastery course. So if you struggle with, like, attachment with money, but also have a hard time calling it into your life, then Money Mastery is a really good course for you. It's inside the Money Expansion Club. The link is down in the description. It's so good. People are having, like, incredible experiences with the course. And it's super affordable. I think it's amazing. It's really like something I did like from my heart. So, okay, let's see. The next step we will have to take, heal and let go. Okay. We talk about this a lot. Healing and letting go of the past. Why is this so hard? Because it changes your emotional makeup. It changes, it's going to shift your capacity. It's going to expand you, because when you let go of the past, you let go of emotions, old emotions. So what you do is you let go of anger, hatred. You let go of fear, shame, guilt. Okay, when you let go of that, what happens is it changes your comfort zone. Because when that leaves your body, it's a whole new world inside of you. And that's extremely intimidating. So it could be addicting for you to try to hold on to all of this. To really hold close and like just want it to be, okay. For example, I went through a breakup at one point. And the way that we ended was we didn't look each other in the eyes. There was a lot of like hate and anger around it. And we never spoke again. 1 year later, I could not stop hating him. And I knew it wasn't right, because he's not the worst guy. He's a good guy, but it just didn't work out and whatever else. And there was this hate and this anger over my heart. And for so long, I just didn't want to let it go. And I kept hating him. And I finally curbed my ego and reached out and I asked him to get together. He was more than happy to get together for some closure a year later. I did not want to do this. This was not something I wanted to do, but God kept saying, like, this is something you need to do. I felt it. And what happened was, when I had that conversation, the emotions it took a week for them to just flood out of me. All the hate dropped from my heart. I was filled with love. I just had so much love for him as a person. I was just like, I just really loved our time together. After all that, I was able to let go of the past, all of the anger, all of that grief. And all of a sudden, a whole new world opened up for me emotionally. And I held on to it because hating him felt normal. Hating an ex or hating a man in general felt normal, especially growing up with a father that just wasn't that great, unfortunately. And so it was just, it was a protective mechanism to just hate them. And that made me feel like it kept me safe, but also kept me feeling like I wasn't weak. And so when I finally let that go, and I had that conversation, that vulnerable conversation, I really opened up about emotions, and he really sat and listened and heard me. I just melted to the floor for a week, and I was like, wow. And it cracked my heart open. The experiences after that, I won't get into it, but were fantastic, were amazing. And it just got me closer to here and higher and higher and higher. Every single time I decided to let it go. But when you let it go, you just have to understand that there's usually some payoff to it, to releasing it, okay? Let go of the past. Sometimes that means go back to the experience. To the experience and feel what you didn't feel. Okay, so get this. There are many times in your life where you probably didn't have the space to feel. Maybe you had to provide for a family and you had to keep working all the time. Maybe you were in an unsafe environment. You did not have the space to cry and feel. Maybe you were in a situation where you just closed up your emotions because you just didn't know how to feel them. And whenever that happens, whenever we don't correctly process emotions and move them through, they get stuck in our body. So I can imagine for anybody out there that there have been emotional experiences that you didn't get the chance to feel. So you may have to sit, meditate on it, pray on it, put your hand on your heart, and give yourself the space to feel. Because again, it's those emotions and those times where you're like, why am I thinking about that time when I was 12 years old and my mom and dad or my brother or this friend did X, Y, and Z? And it just perseverates in my mind. Or why is it that I get so triggered by this situation? And it causes these overthinking negative thoughts, because that little experience in your body is trailing up to your body and saying, up to your mind and saying, this needs attention. This needs attention, because we keep trying to get those needs met everywhere else, and we're attaching to situations, and it's causing us extreme pain and adding to our already trapped emotions and already pain. You get it? You get that? So you have to go back to the experience and feel what you didn't feel. This isn't fun. It's not fun, and it's not easy, and you're going to want to pick up your phone and turn on the television and make plans and do everything else you could possibly do to avoid it. Sure, go ahead, do that for a little while, and then finally sit down and say, like, okay, I'm sick of this, I need to sit with it. And that's what they mean when they say, sit with it. Sit with it. Because if you don't sit with your inner self, you'll know this is an inner game, it's not an outer game. If you do not sit with your inner self and understand that inner mapping and those emotions and everything that's going on inside, you are not going to get very far in life. And if you do, you're going to get there feeling like this. Attached, anxious. This guy's happy because he's on the journey feeling like that. This guy, not happy because getting there feeling angry. I'm not saying you're not going to get to where you want to get to. I'm never saying that. I never say you're going to be stopped in your tracks. I'm just saying it's going to be harder. It might even take you longer, or it just might be excruciating. You see plenty of people getting rich as can be, and they're filled with anger, they're filled with hate, they're filled with shame, they're super insecure, and that's how they get there. Their journey looks like this, full of fear, chaos, anxiety, shame, guilt, anger, grief, you name it. But you can take the journey feeling like that if you free and heal and let it go. Free yourself from the confinements of your mind. Make God the center of your life. Give it all up to God. There is something greater out there. It's a big world. There's a lot going on. There's a lot we don't understand. And to think we can do everything all by ourselves, little old me, is it's silly when you really think about it. It's silly. I feel silly. I feel silly for having done it. And it's the only thing I knew at the time or knew how to do. But it's a silly thing. Like, there is this counterpart, is God with us. And like, I'm still learning this stuff. But it's coming so clear to my mind every day, more and more and more and more, and every single day, that it's the truth. I've searched for truth my whole life. My entire life. And that's the only thing that felt right. Okay, so you gotta heal it, feel it to heal it. Okay, so let's just recap and talk about some things that you can do to detach. Okay, it's gonna be connect with God. Sit with your emotions. You need to understand your inner map. We are so avoidant to it. We are literally wired to avoid our emotions to the point where they have stacked up so much that it's excruciating to sit with and just let it all go. That's why I think ayahuasca journeys and all of that thing, while I've never done one, and I'm not into it, but I think they free people so much because all people do is cry the whole time. They go through all of their old experiences and they visit all of these strange places in their mind, and then they just cry and they let it go, and it's because for the first time they feel their emotions. But you see a lot of people who can't keep up with it or who get addicted to it because it's the only time they can actually feel their emotions. You have to keep up with it. You have to learn the skill of sitting with your emotions and being in discomfort. Sorry, you don't want to hear it, but there's no other way. And it's the best skill that you can have if you want to be successful, if you want to be in a happy, loving relationship. You're going to have to have hard conversations. You're going to have to go through the hard things. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're also going to have to learn to sit in the discomfort of others. So if you can sit in your own discomfort, you're better going to be able to sit in the discomfort of others so you can have hard conversations, make the hard decisions, and do the hard things. Otherwise, you'll have a really hard time elevating. Or if you do elevate, you're going to get there that way. You decide. You can stay there if you want to, and you can get there that way. But at the end of the day, you're going to be running in circles constantly looking for the same thing, and the only thing you're looking for is all of these emotions. So might as well let yourself feel them now versus trying to get to the next goal, to the next goal, to the next goal, to finally allow yourself to feel that. Because that's the reason you attach to all these things. Now you can find all those emotions in God, in your inner guidance, in Jesus. And if you make God the center of your life and walk with Him, the journey will be full of love, security, safety, peace, freedom. So, sit in the discomfort, sit with your emotions, connect with God. And the ways that you can do that is you can start to just sit in your room, locked inside your room, and don't even meditate, because some people just like go to this meditative state where they're just like, they don't feel anything. Like actively try to feel your emotions. Actively sit and ask yourself like, hey, what do we want to feel right now? Okay, I feel frustration. Okay, write down your feelings. Take a journal with you. Write down feelings. Start to get understanding of your emotions. Write down your feelings. When you sit with yourself, you're like, okay, I feel frustration. Okay, I see myself now. I'm aware of myself adding that extra layer of frustration to like this journey because I'm like trying to be a perfectionist, or I'm trying to do the thing, when like emotions, sitting with your emotions it's not something to accomplish. It's just being. It's when you get away from the doing and you get into the being. You're just here. You're not attached. You're like, it could go left, right. I'm here for it. I'm going to get through it because I've got God with me. I've got God at the center of my life. Everything's going to be okay because although it wasn't when I was younger, a little kid, and I was really unsafe, like I've let that go. I've given that to God, and now God protects me and guides me. And no matter what happens, like I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And it is just like, how do you want to live? How do you want to feel every day? Because I know dang well I don't want to sit here taking care of everything and try and worrying all day long, all the time anymore. I literally am like, whatever, your will. I can't do my job and have my friends and have the relationships and have all this in life if I'm constantly trying to control everything. I was hitting constant burnout. I was constantly worried. I was constantly stressed. I was having to see the chiropractor like every 2 weeks just to get some type of like calm and relaxation that wouldn't last very long. Y'all, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. How would you like to live? And that's the only question you have to ask yourself. So write down your feelings. It's worth it. It's worth it to practice this stuff. It's worth it to get in touch with your emotions. And it will lead you to detaching from the outcome. And again, we go a lot detachment. We go a lot deeper into this when it comes to money inside of the course Money Mastery. So check out the Money Expansion Club. It's awesome. Or if you're interested in getting more details about other offers that I offer one-on-one coaching, you can also book a free discovery call. I can chat with you about it there. All right, attachment. It's just no way to live. And just because you're used to living over here does not mean that this isn't possible, because I thought that wasn't possible too. But when I figured it out, I was like, I need to tell the entire world about it. It is a whole nother world. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you practice this. And if you do practice it, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you don't, and there's resistance, I'd also like to hear about that in the comments. But as long as you keep watching my videos, I'm sure that you'll eventually do it, because this is what we talk about all the time. Because if you're going to be able to connect deeper with life, with God, and feel those emotions it is that you so deeply crave, then you're going to have to learn to get in touch with your emotions. So that's all I have for you today. Tune in to the next one.